You're listening to Permission to Shine, the podcast. Stories of overcoming obstacles and finding self-empowerment with Sherisse Bisram, Inner Power Activation Leader. The Oxford Dictionary describes permission as the action of officially allowing someone to do a particular thing, consent, authorization. What if you were that someone and you gave yourself the permission to be everything you wanted to be and more? No more playing small and accepting less than. You are worthy of the life of your dreams, regardless of what it is that you've been through. And honestly, it's exactly what you've been through that has shaped you into the version of yourself that you are now. Like a diamond, you've endured so much, but instead of breaking, you have become stronger and brighter. And if that's not a reason to shine, then I don't know what is. And if nature can do it, then why the hell can't you? You are brave, you are strong, you are powerful, and you are enough. Hear my call and give yourself the permission to shine, because you don't realise how many people are inspired by your light. Hi everyone, welcome to episode 50. Oh gosh, I don't even know what episode I'm on. 54, I think it is. Wow, I can't believe, I say this every time, but I can't believe I've been doing this for this amount of episodes now, and it's just crazy. Yes, it's 54. Wow. Well, I normally stop at 53 for the next so whatever it is, I'm going up in tens really. I normally stop there for the next season, but I felt like I didn't want to just stop the season where it was on the last episode and not tell you that this is going to be the end of the season for a little while, just for a couple of weeks. I have got some podcast interviews lined up with guests, so that's all in the pipeline. So yeah, have no fear, it's all coming together. But I just wanted to just kind of recap really what the last few months and weeks have been like. And hopefully, you can resonate with this yourself, because as you know, astrology is a massive part of my life and my spiritual practice and the things that I use to help me understand the universe. But more than that, I think when you understand that, you are just a being as part of an infinite world and reality, and we are connected to everything, that if you're feeling internally off and you don't know why, that's why I like astrology, because I'm like, Chiron, the wounded healer, is conjunct with something. That's why I'm feeling very shadowy today. And there's been a lot of that the last month, but this month in particular, we've had a lot of shifts. So if you are listening up to date, you'll be happy to know that there's a lot of lovely things happening in astrology, with Jupiter, which is the planet of abundance and expansion, has come into Gemini, which is about socializing, connecting, speaking your truth. So I think there's going to be a lot of really beautiful things coming forward. And I think if you are someone that is particularly shy or introverted, I mean, don't ever change. I'm not saying for you to change unless you want to. And this is a great time for that, for you to really tap into using your voice and connecting with people. I think this is going to be a time where a lot of people find their soul tribe, and who resonates with them and who else is going through these types of things. I think this is a really lovely moment in time that, we have been craving, because it's been challenging. It's been a really challenging few years for a lot of people. And I know myself that I've been through so many death and rebirth moments. And I feel like coming out of this last week, I finally met a bit of peace, and it feels really lovely. And I just wanted to share that with you, because I don't know if anyone can resonate with that, And on that, I just want to share about the ebbs and flows of life, because I think that we always feel like we have to actively work towards something, like we have to be building or climbing or, working hard at something in order to achieve what it is we want. But the rest and the surrender is equally important, because if you are climbing up a mountain and you don't take a break, you won't have the strength to keep pulling yourself up, right? And that really is it. That's the key and the secret to life, is that we can't keep moving forward at 100 miles an hour. We have to sometimes rest and let the universe do that work for us. Because actually, if you are climbing up a mountain, for example, and you can see one path ahead of you because you're just going up and up and up, if you don't stop and rest and take a look at, one, how far you've come, but also the route ahead, you might not realize there's a whole row of steps that you could use instead, and there's a handrail, and you were going to grip onto the rocks with your fingertips, when actually you could just hold the handrail and go up a few steps. And that's the beauty of the universe working for us, is it gives us that insight when we pause. And I know that's scary for a lot of people, especially if you've been like me, an overachiever and overworker, and your worth is defined by how hard you work. These notions are very scary and a bit overwhelming, but honestly, that's how it works. And I guess the opposite to that as well is, taking the risk. And I think for me personally, this year and just in general, I feel like I've been constantly met with opportunities to take risks where I can't see what the outcome is. And that's a scary thing. Like, for example, right now, for those of you that know that I've been a professional dancer for 11 years, I've taught at Pineapple Dance Studios for 2 years, and I made the decision the other day to stop teaching there. I was like, you know what? I feel like I've done my time. I've loved it. I enjoy it. But things are changing, and things are changing in my life too. And like where dance sits now is dance is more of a recreational thing for me. Like I do it because I enjoy it. I love connecting with people, but I don't think it's who I am anymore. And I think we have to be brave enough to take those choices based on that. Now, I've been really lucky, and some might say privileged in the fact that I've been able to do what I love for my career. Now, if you know my life story, you'll know that I haven't been privileged in that sense because it's been very difficult. But I have to honor and identify when I've been given privileges or work for privileges, right? And I feel like the privilege in that would be that I just bet on myself. So, you can look at it in a couple of different ways. And it's been very hard, as I said, but the fulfillment I've got from dancing has been wonderful, and connecting with so many people. I hold safe spaces, and that's something that I've always had a gift for. And I feel like now it's scary to dive fully into whatever the next thing is. And I can't see what's in this next tunnel of, you know, life. And that is a bit scary, but equally I just fully trust the universe to be like, it's that moment like, what if I fall but what if I fly? There's other things that I'm meant for now. And I feel like everything in my life has shaped me into the version of myself I am now. So I know fully that the universe is supporting me in this next stage of my life. And I honestly think it's this work, like this work I'm doing with mentoring and supporting and facilitating others, in these spaces. I really do see that this is my calling. And I think it's who I've always been. But now I'm finally giving, that version of me the space to hold everything, like I was almost giving myself this little bit, like still saying, oh, I've been a professional dancer for all this time and all these things. And actually now I don't need to say that anymore. And it's yeah, really lovely. And even down to some of you might have seen, or if you follow me on social media, you'll know that I've added intuitive healer into my title now. And that's because I feel like that's what I've always been. I've always been this person that has this ability to connect with something deeper than, the physical. And with my clients, especially, working with my clients for the last few months, is that's really come out in the clients I've been mentoring, and just seeing that development that in them, be able to see through things. I've always had that and just not honored it. And I was meeting up with a friend, and she sort of said to me, you are a spiritual guide to a lot of people. And she was like, you're an intuitive healer. And I was like, yeah, actually, that's very true. I am. So I'm allowing that to come forward now as well, and just allow myself to step fully into all of me. It's not hiding behind anything anymore, or the labels, and I use that a lot. I ask everyone all the time, especially in my live events, which I just had my live event this week just gone, and it was so wholesome. The conversations that came up, the level of vulnerability that came up. And I think this is the wonderful thing about these spaces, is that although yes, women empowerment sounds strong and embodied and bold, and it really, really is, on its deep, deep level, it's so much more than that, and that's all of my work too, the mentoring and all of that. It's the deep inner work. It's that shadow work. It's getting to the root of what has been holding us back, and allowing ourselves to be fully seen in that space. And even if it's just to be fully seen by ourselves, to just allow ourselves to be like, this is really bloody hard right now, and I'm really struggling, but I'm going to do something about it, and that's the real brave move in those situations. That is where you take the risk, I'm going to do something about it. I can't see what the outcome is, but I know I don't want to feel like this anymore. It's taking those bold, brave moves that are going to get you to the next level of where you want to be. I always say it that you will never achieve anything more than what you have right now in your comfort zone. You know, nothing grows in your comfort zone. It's just weeds, right? So you have to step out of your comfort zone to, you know, plant new seeds and grow new things. And eventually you'll outgrow that garden too. And it's about moving forward and creating this beautiful wonderland. And you'll look back on your life at some point, and I hope you can do that now and say, wow, I really planted a lot of beautiful flowers, you know, like a lot of the things that I set out to do in my life I've done already. And I really urge you to do that right now, is to just take account of what you've achieved so far. And it doesn't have to be big things. You know, I think a lot of people think that life is about the accolades, and it's never about the accolades. It's about all of the small things, you know. Look at the relationships in your life, the ones that you still have, the ones that you had and lost. You know, like, what did you gain from losing that? You know, what did you gain from cutting that certain person or people out of your life? You know, did you gain more freedom? Did you gain more self-respect, more autonomy? You know, did you gain better friends as a result of releasing out the people that weren't really treating you as kindly as you deserved? You know, and even down to you know, the workplaces you've been in, for example, say you do have a 9 to 5 and you're happy there, you know, or even if you're not happy there, look back at that and all of the relationships you've nurtured. Maybe the work that you had put in, you can see where the benefit's been, you know. And if you can't see that, maybe that's a sign that you need to take that risk and that leap into a new direction. Everything always is working in our favor, you know. And I think that we do ourselves the disservice by not answering the call of ourselves internally. You know, sometimes we feel like something needs to change. We know we need to change it. We don't know how. So instead of us exploring and, you know, talking about it, being open about it, we bottle it all up until it implodes from the inside. And this is where, for me, again, it comes back to these creating these spaces for, you know, especially women, which is my speciality, about, you know, creating this openness. But equally, you know, this work that I do in my events, especially for women, I do for workplaces as well, you know, and for schools and things like that. It's about creating these spaces where we can just be open with how we're feeling, you know, and if not to share with another in the room, but to share with you. You know, we're suppressing all the time how we feel. I know that I was denying myself of how I felt for so long, for decades, you know. So being able to actually have that open conversation sometimes and say, I'm really struggling right now, to myself, that gives me the permission to then say it to someone else, you know. And I promise you, with every fiber of my being, when you share the vulnerable things you're going through, you give other people the permission to do the same thing. And this is the whole point of this podcast, as you all know, is to give you the permission to shine, but in turn, to allow your light to shine outwardly onto other people. This is how it is, you know, we create this ripple effect of change. And I think that we are all in search of so much more authenticity in every element, you know. We are going to watch with Pluto now moving into Aquarius, we're going to watch the downfall of celebrity culture, of, you know, idolizing celebrities and also influencers on social media. That's all crumbling down now. What's going to be left is real authenticity. And I think, you know, like I said, we've all been craving that. We've all been craving that real genuineness. And that starts with us internally. So if we can be okay with who we are, and yes, be open and honest with the fact that sometimes it is scary and sometimes we are taking a risk here. All of that is that honesty and that vulnerability. And what comes next is beautiful, because we don't know what we're getting into and we don't have to have it all figured out. And I think that's something I get met with a lot with older people, for example, especially with clients and potential clients that are coming into my world, because I am like sometimes younger than the people that I have, like my mentees. They are, you know, skeptical. They're like, well, how can you know more? And how do you know this? And, you know, all of these things. And it's like, there is a level of trust that needs to be built for sure, and wisdom. And the risk in that, actually, I don't know this thing right now. I don't know it. I don't need to know it, right? And I think with what I'm trying to get at there is that older people think they're wiser because they're older, but a lot of people haven't had the same lived experience. And the lived experience is what creates my richness and my wisdom and my intelligence, right? And so many times I'm met with people that think they know more or think they know better because that's a badge of honor they're wearing. You know, when I talk about how we've overcome things, like for me, overcoming trauma, I was wearing as a badge of honor at one point, and I don't do that anymore. I'm like, it's part of my story. I don't lead with it. I don't walk into the room and be like, by the way, I can heal your trauma. Do you know what I mean? That's not who I am. I'm actually quite I'm just myself, to be honest. I don't have a way of entering a room because I'm just human and I allow myself to be human in a lot of situations. But I think for a lot of people, they want to come across as the intelligent person, or they want to come across as the person that has it all figured out. But that's all a front. We don't need to have it all figured out. We don't need to know the next step. We can just be human, you know. And equally on that, when I'm going into new spaces or meeting new people, I am very much myself as Sherisse, the human being. But when I'm coming into a space with a mentee or a mentor or someone that wants to be mentored or, you know, have the trauma healing, that's when I switch on my zone of genius, because that's when it's needed, you know. That's not me wearing the label of it and pretending that I have life figured out as a whole, because I don't have the whole of life figured out, because no one does. Not one single person in this world, even the gurus, the Buddhas, all of them will tell you exactly the same thing. I do not know everything. And that's the beauty of life and why we go through the experiences we have. So that's why we need to take the risks. That's why we need to be vulnerable. We need to be open and honest, because not one single person has it figured out. But when we can be honest about that and know our strengths and weaknesses, again, when we come down to our self-awareness, when we can be accountable for, you know, who we are, but what it is we want to achieve, and we're working towards that, that's all of that beautiful space and energy, you know. We're all learning, we're all growing, life is ebbing and flowing. And I think that's the beautiful thing about this experience. So if you're in a hard patch right now, I send so much love to you, but I know you're going to learn so much from that space, you know. And if you do need guidance and support on that, reach out, drop me a DM. You know, this is all of my work. And I feel like so many people suffer in silence, but now more than ever is the time to step forward and create a new pathway for yourself. You know, take that break, look at your mountain, look at how far you've come, look at the route you want to go to. And if you can't figure out the how, if you don't know how you get up the rest of that mountain, that's a sign that you need to outreach some support. You know, whether that is a mentor or a coach, whether that's a friend, whether that's you know, a loved one, even children. Children have so much wisdom in the most craziest things. You can explain something to them and they'll say to you something like, well, why don't you just get a parachute? And you'll be like, huh? Like, you know, like it's just those little moments, you know. We think, again, as adults, we have it all figured out, we know the answer. Sometimes kids have the best advice because they don't have all of the overthinking processes we have as adults. They just have a very emotional way of dealing with things in the most beautiful and, you know, childlike wonder, as they do, you know. And maybe a parachute was a bad example of that, but, you know, like anything they could just say that would be like, oh yeah, I didn't think about it like that, because we overthink as adults, the kids don't. It's like when I don't know if anyone listened to the Embracing Your feminine archetypes podcast recently, as two podcasts ago, and I was talking about the maiden is that the maiden just dares and does, you know. She doesn't have it all figured out, she just goes for it, right? And or she tries new things because she's like, why not? What if I fail? You know. And I think we're so afraid of failing that we don't want to take the risk, you know. We don't want to dive in, we don't want to jump all the way through because we're scared. But as I said, on the other side of your comfort zone is all of the abundance and all of the exciting things you've been waiting for. And no, it's not all there. It's not like you jump over, you take the risk and you land in a field of roses and money and the man of your dreams or the woman of your dreams. You know, it's not like it's all there on the other side, but it might be. And it might lead you, it will lead you to where all of those things are, because life's a journey. There's not a quick switch. There's not like a button you press and you jump and you skip levels. And the people that skip levels, you know, the people that get handouts and, you know, that winning the lottery, for example, so many people that win the lottery lose all of their money in the first 5 years because they don't know how to hold it. They don't know how to be the vibrational match for it. Whereas people that earn their money are more likely to keep it. Yes, they might go bankrupt in the end, but they know how to build it back up again if they do, right? That's why we need to go through the journey, through the process, through the learning and through the growing. So I hope that gives you some food for thought over the next few weeks. To be honest, I probably will come back probably sooner than I think, because I've got to look at the guests lined up. But again, I like to allow myself the space to integrate and to come back to you with new wisdom, new insights, and just new knowings, right? That's the beauty of finding that stillness, which is honoring my feminine energy too, and the rest. So sending you so much love and light. I hope you have a lovely few weeks. If you are listening up to date, obviously go back to your favorite episode. Also, always send me your thoughts on the episodes and anything you want me to cover as well, and if you are listening to this thinking, yeah, I really do need this support, obviously, as always, like, my journal is linked to the show notes. It's in there. My meditations, my free meditations are in the show notes, so start listening to that if that's something you want to do. I've got morning and evening one in there, as well as an inner child one and higher self visualization in there as well. And also, if you're feeling like, I just need to talk to someone right now, I don't know how I'm going to navigate through this space, this is all of my work, drop me a DM. My one-to-one mentoring programs are always there for you. I have a series of calls, so I start at 4 calls, then 6, then we go up to the journey where I hold your hand through the darkness and into the light, and that is one-to-one support that's consistent and high touch container. So if that's something you feel like you need right now, please do reach out. But if you don't, have a lovely week, have a lovely few months. I mean, I'm going to say a few months, that's probably a bit extreme. I'm probably going to be back in a month's time at most. It'll probably be 2 weeks or so. But again, reach out, drop me a DM. I want to know how you're doing, what you think about everything that I've covered so far, all of the things. I'm going to stop talking now. I love you all. Bye.
If this episode resonated with you, please do like, follow and share with someone that you know would benefit. If you're looking to dive in deeper to becoming your most unapologetic, most authentic, shining self, please do head to my website and join my newsletter, where you will find out about all of my upcoming events and speaking opportunities and all of the things that I have going on. And also, if you would like to work with me, please do drop me a DM on any of my socials or through my website. Love and light.